And I said, Dave, I've got this wild idea, podcasting. He says, Carm, what's podcasting? So I stopped and explained as much as I knew at the time to him. And he says, I'm in, Carm. I did a fist pump. I told my wife, I think I may be onto something here.
Yeah.
And the name Remarkable Results, which was my whole goal in advancing the industry, it lets share these ideas and passions and insights with the industry. There's so many other podcasts that exist out there, and they're all finding their own niche, including yours. And, honored to be on with you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of the Lift Your Shop podcast. I'm Kelsey Osh from the Lift Auto Repair Marketing. And today we have the owner of podcasting in the auto service aftermarket. We have Carm Capriotto. So Carm, thank you so much for being with us today.
Kelsey, I am honored to be hanging with you, and all the best to you on auto repair marketing. Lift. It was great company.
Well, thank you so much. But more so, I'm curious, like, just to kind of start us off, like, have you been on the other side before? The one kind of being the interviewee rather than the interviewer?
I have in the past.
Love to hear that. Well, I'm grateful then again to have this opportunity to have this discussion with you.
Yeah.
But for those that maybe, I know a lot of people within the auto service industry, especially the auto repair industry, like as a whole, are very familiar with you. But let's go into your story. Like, what even
My
started this
story is
journey?
very secretive. That's very secretive. But there's some really interesting startups that happen. Of course, I've been in our industry my whole life in the distribution side. And of course, we owned a lot of companies as an entrepreneurial family business, including shop, oil distribution, gas distribution, multiple parts stores, a lot of stuff. We did a lot of things. And there was a point when we as a family sold the business, and I went to work for the people that I bought the business from. Well, anyway, long story short, all of that happened. Life went on. I worked for these great companies, and then I had a chance not to work anymore on the distribution side. And I said, what am I going to do next? Because I just felt way too young that I was going to step down, walk away, retire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I discovered what podcasting was about. And just so that everybody knows, and I probably have never told this before, but in my early days in my 20s, I was on Buffalo radio. Okay.
Oh, so
Yes. And I not only was a DJ, and I was a mobile DJ in all those years. So being behind a microphone, Kelsey, wasn't that strange to me. And of course, I did a lot of teaching and a lot of training. And of course, being a leader of your own company with 60 employees, you have to learn how to lead and get up in front, talk to people. You know that drill. So I have a chance to go into something new and different. And I started to think of, and I looked at podcasting and I said, wow, this is a really cool idea. So I picked up the phone. I'm from Buffalo. I remember reading about a shop owner, Dave Striegel from Pittsburgh, in the Pittsburgh area, Elizabeth, PA. And I was in his shop when I worked for corporate America. And I picked up the phone and I says, I love what you're doing. You're writing great articles. You're putting up your own training center. This is 10 years ago.
mm-hmm.
Unheard of kind of stuff. Today,
Yep.
no-brainer stuff.
Right.
And I said, Dave, I've got this wild idea, podcasting. He says, Carm, what's podcasting? So I stopped and explained as much as I knew at the time. And I said, I need you to come on and tell my audience of who I believe will be automotive service, shop owners, business people,
Mm-hmm.
and automotive service technicians, how you accomplished your remarkable results. And I stopped for a moment and I paused and I was silent. And I wrote those two words down, remarkable results. And I kept talking to him and he says, I'm in, Carm. And I said, oh, what do I do now? How do I record this guy? I mean, is it Zoom? What is it?
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, hey, listen, let me email you back and forth. We'll pick a date and we'll figure this out. I'm in total, I don't know what to do next mode. But I did a fist pump. I told my wife, I think I may be onto something here.
Yeah.
And the name Remarkable Results, which was my whole goal in advancing the industry, is let's share these ideas and passions and insights with the industry. So it was Dave Striegel, episode 1. It was March of 2015. And for remarkable results, we just crisscrossed 1,000 episodes. Okay.
Congratulations.
And of course, the Town Hall Academy 400 plus, for the record, and all these other shows that we have done, these,
Oh,
if you will, ensemble shows, different kind of storytelling. And that's my start and beginning. And I'm an ideas guy, Kelsey. I can't stop. 724. And now
that's
my daughter Tracy, who works for me as my executive producer, and I couldn't do this without Tracy. She's been with me 4 years, and I says, Tracy, I have an idea. Okay, Dad. And so sometimes she loves him. Sometimes she says, "Wow, cutting edge. Maybe that's a little too. That's far out a little bit." But I'm an ideas person. I think that's how this whole thing started, and which is why I say I'm the pioneer, because back in the day, I could not find anyone else doing what I'm doing. Of course, now there's so many other podcasts that exist out there, and they're all finding their own niche,
Mhm.
including yours. And honored to be on with you.
Yeah, and then I fully believe you are definitely a pioneer within the automotive industry. And I mean, one, the episodes alone speak for themselves, how many you've done. And now you said March or May 2015, March 2015. You're coming up
Yeah,
on
March
a
2015.
decade,
Yeah.
10 years of doing this. That is
10
a
years. Yeah, in March of this year, it'll be 10 years. And
because it's
uh,
really, I mean, within the podcasting world, a lot of people stop, they give up. I mean, it's like they get excited in the beginning, and then they're like, I don't know if I want
well,
to keep doing
a
this.
lot of people take on podcasting as a hobby,
Mhm.
Kelsey. And if somebody could just watch what it takes to put a high quality, high audio, high video, good content episode out, and the thought that goes in the front side, the work to get it done, and then the follow up and follow through. I mean, we've got people that help us. We use all kinds of software. We're constantly writing. We're evaluating. It is not easy to create really, really good content. You do,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so I'm so proud of all the people that have worked with us, but more importantly, all the people that I call my friends that have come on all of our podcasts and either pontificated themselves or they allowed me to ask them questions. Maybe it's a particular topic, and I says, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing and where I want to go with this." Like we're doing today, we're just going to have a discussion, right?
Yeah.
Discussions are some of the best you could possibly ever come up with. And I thank them. I thank them for their support, their insights, their friendship. And I think they, in the early days, caught a glimmer of what I was trying to do. And today, the input that I get, Carm, is a great idea for a show, blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of the ideas that we get in the panels that we put together come from the other people in the industry, Kelsey, that want to come in and help share.
Yep. And I
Because we
think
want
that's
we
what,
want to we givers, people that are big solid CEO entrepreneurs in our industry, and we need to call them that because they're not shop owners, they're business people. They have giving hearts, and we help them give.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what really sets your podcast apart as well. You can feel that like when people are on there and it's not as stiff as maybe some other podcasts that you see where it's like, yeah, this is very choreographed and really like every step of the way they're almost meant to say this thing. And it's like, no, like you guys are just having real discussions and those people are bringing something to the table that they're passionate about that knowledge base. And I love that. And I think that's what really this industry as a whole again, it's always been misunderstood for so long for so many people. And yeah, and I love that you mentioned now even like just the basic like a shop owner is a CEO of a business, and and these
Yeah.
are real businesses that are helping a lot of people. And so that's where we're definitely going to get into that. But first, I would love to like pick on your, I mean, obviously with 1,000 podcast episodes, you spoken with so many people. And so if you could maybe top three things that you've like really garnered and like learned or been impressed by or whatever it may be throughout that journey from all the different people you've spoken with, I would love to hear that. If you would rather sit and digest and think about those things, and we can go into our other topic, I'm happy to do that as well. But I've been excited to ask you what you've learned.
Well, I anticipated this question.
Well, I'm
I
grateful that you
did.
did.
And so I decided to bring a couple of things into the studio, and one of them is this.
Very nice. Look at that.
You see this?
Yep.
So I've already done the homework for you,
You
and
already
it
made it.
hit me about maybe 10 weeks ago. Oh, when I hit my I think 100th episode, I wrote this paper. It was the top 8 success strategies that I learned from the first 100 episodes.
Uh-huh.
And then I said, let me get that paper out and look at those 8 strategies and see where we are today. So I decided to write.
It's
And of course,
amazing.
this anybody can get their hands on this.
Mhm.
And the top 12, can I read them quick to you?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Put your people first. Client or customer service is it. Culture and values rule. Processes are ridiculously critical and they win wars. Profit means survival. Personal development, continuous education, have fun, communication skills, networking to expand your knowledge, run toward technology, and finally, a critical language shift. And you know about that.
Absolutely.
And so I write, if you will, a few paragraphs about it. And then the other thing that I did, because again, this is me, 724, I'm always on. After every segment in this PDF file that you can get, there's a link to a bunch of episodes that talk about that specific strategy.
And content
I did it
master.
all. Yeah. Content math. Exactly right. So there you go. That's what if and and it just doesn't stop. And we're getting ready for our just the next evolution of what we're doing. We're going to do a lot of really fun and different things as a podcast in this industry.
That's very cool. I'm very excited to see all that. Yeah, we'll definitely put the link to that top 12 in the show notes as
Yeah,
well.
well, let me just tell you all. I have a downloads page on my website. My website is remarkableresults.biz. And if you go to the site, you'll see downloads as a page, or you can say slash downloads.
Uh-huh.
And there's a real bunch of cool things there. And I know this is not a sales piece, but how about this? How about a poster? Automotive careers happen here. You put it on your counter. Just tell the world. Tell your clients that you're not looking to hire people. You're here to help people with careers.
I love that.
Anyway, a lot of cool stuff on my downloads page. Go
Yeah,
get it, download it,
definitely.
and read it. Anyway,
And please do for those that are listening, watching YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're doing it. I mean, I appreciate one that they are listening, but definitely check out Carm's content. And he has amazing content, very helpful for the industry, obviously for a very long time. But what we want to definitely dive into today is definitely that the language piece of what we're naming positions in and of itself. And I think as I've been introduced to this industry, it's like, wait, what are the different, why are the same position called so many different things? And obviously that creates confusion. Maybe it creates less pride in the job that people are undertaking. And so for you, Carm, like why do you believe maybe a language shift is needed?
oh my, loaded question. I can go on for an hour. Of course, I have a keynote on this, and I've been giving it all around the country.
Oh,
And I explain the why. And I believe that the word technician that we kind of picked up 10 years ago, which was really nice, really healthy, very strong, is being so overused by the entire world to describe certain job levels.
yep.
Roofing has roofing technicians. We met a guy at a beer place one day that said he was a beer technician. I saw an ad for a nail salon to hire a nail technician. There's technicians in every single job, and we have technicians. We tell our client, it's remember, it's not only critical for an internal value, an internal feel, an internal language shift, but if you look at the outside and the perception of the customer coming in, we say technician. Okay, get it. Respectful, but everybody's a technician today. And when we have a problem with ourselves and we go to our general practitioner doctor, he says, I'm sending you to a specialist. They know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the word specialist, the mechanical and the technology specialist. We happen to have alignment specialist. In the Euro shops, we have Mercedes specialists. So why do we have an A and a B and a C tech, a diag person? Why don't we have a technology specialist instead of a diag person? So this hit me so hard. And it was my friend Matt Fonslow, who has a podcast on the Aftermarket Radio Network, of which we started 3 years ago. And we produce 9 podcasts a week. Maybe not too many people know that in the Aftermarket Radio Network. That's what keeps us so engaged and busy. And Matt said, Carm, go watch The Bear. I referenced that in the first page of my declaration here. And I told
Mm-hmm.
Matt I don't have any time to watch The Bear, man. I just don't. He says, Carm, watch The Bear. I says, Matt, I don't have any time. He says, watch The Bear. So I did. 20 minutes in, I put it on pause. I go to my office. I get out a yellow pad and I start writing. And my wife looks at me and she goes, what are you doing? I says, I just found something. I says, I have to. And I wrote down the word chef and I wrote down, what's our word? Because even though this Hulu series, it's in its third season right now, and this first season is what really impacted me, Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw, you got to see the story of what happened and the lead character, probably why I so appreciated this show. The lead character's name is Carmy.
Oh, there you go.
And when I was a young kid, that's what they called me. So he comes in his dress whites into his brother's sandwich shop in Chicago because he died and he got uh, gifted, willed the shop, him and his sister. So he goes in his dress whites because he's an up and coming James Beard chef. An episode in season 3, you see all the cool stuff that Carmy did on his way up to be in this master position. Please listen to all these strong words that I'm laying out here because they're important. And I'm watching this gentleman go to one of the other guys dressed in his dark clothes and his jeans and his dirty shirt in this dirty restaurant. And he says to him, Chef, can you start cooking the roast beef for tomorrow? And the guy looked back at him. He says he never, ever, ever was called as a chef, ever. He looked at me, he looked at Carmen, he goes, I can, chef. And Carmen looked back at him and said, thank you, chef. That's when I froze. And I says, look at the respect that the word chef has, the meaning and the professionalism that the word chef has. That's the premise of the entire declaration that I wrote to shift the language in our industry. Because even if we call a person an A and a B and a C, no one has a quite great definition of that. Every shop has a different one. And so why have we all adopted universally all these different slang meanings and even probably poor job descriptions that describe the role that this individual has in the business? So I wrote down chef, I wrote down what's our word. And I struggled with it. This was October of last year. It's about a year ago that all of this happened. And then we went to Apex. Fonslow's in the studio with me, interviewing a couple of brilliant diag guys, and they just got popping the word technology all over the place. I wrote it down, threw it in my pocket, came home, put it on my desk. I got technology on this piece of paper. I have chef over here. And I started to think, and I had to go to a doctor, a specialist, and I'm thinking, oh my God. And it was almost like it was karma.
There you go.
Karma. It
Yeah.
happened. And I put technology and specialist together. And I was struggling a little bit with what do I call, because not everybody's a technology specialist. I mean, you really need to be at a certain level. So people that are good with their hands, they're kinesthetic learners. They could close their eyes and do a brake job in 20 minutes and it'll be perfect. They're just gifted. What are they? Well, they're mechanical. I don't care how you slice the dice. That is not a dirty word.
Yep.
Not like Hollywood has shown us what a mechanic looks like. You take a police show, and if there's a bad person, he works at a dirty, scummy garage
Yeah,
with no lights, and he's unkept, and he's a mechanic. And that's what Hollywood tells the entire population of North America what a mechanic is. Well, they're not in our top shops, not. And in all the future shops that are looking to grow themselves up and even and use lift auto repair marketing to grow themselves in a higher level of professionalism, we need a name change. Mechanical specialist, technology specialist, and it just blends perfect. Imagine having someone brand new customer picks up the phone, comes in, got an appointment, good service advisors at our counters, brings them in and says, "Don't worry, Mrs. Smith. We've been here a long time. I know why you're here. People tell you to trust us, and we will. And our technology specialist to be all over that check engine light for you. Not my diag guy. What's that? Not my tech, not my technician, but my technology specialist. I don't know about you, but there's a warm and fuzzy going at that client, walking back and says, "Wow, they hire technology specialists here. I feel pretty good about this." And so you can argue the fact that karma, it's just words. No, it's a new language shift. The sophistication that's going on, I believe, Kelsey, with everything that we see and touch in our world and how quickly and fast it comes to us, it's finding a new level. Trust me, you're a marketing company. You get this. You know this. You're playing with SEO. You're playing with what do we do with the videos that we show, the kinds of backgrounds that we have. Things are done on purpose today. Am I right?
absolutely.
So this is what it's all about. And I explained that in a nutshell. This is the keynote. I gave this keynote to the ASE Board of Governors in June. I've given this keynote to the Ford Service Engineering Group. I've been all over the country in coaching groups and in associations giving this. We're already booked next year a bunch of times, and it's only October. And so I wrote this, I put it out. Tons of people in the industry contributed to this. This is my premise, but a lot of the other depth of think that went in here came from, as I said, all the friends that I've gotten to know in the industry that I said, here's a draft copy of this incredible idea. Nothing is more powerful than idea whose time has come. And I got all kinds of feedback. And I continue. Yesterday, I'm on the phone for an hour with an individual saying, I love this, but what about this and what about that? And I said, what a great idea. There's a tweak. And so we constantly keep the latest version 14 on my website. Every time we get a new version, it's out there. So this is where we are with this. And it's to the point where, oh my God, I shouldn't have even shown you this copy, but you see the handwriting on the wall? See,
Yep.
these are the updates that we're looking to tweak this with. And this is the page of the entire language shift of what we're saying that, well, I'll give it to my tire buster. No, he's the tire specialist. And just because he's a tire specialist doesn't mean he's not your GS or he's not your alignment specialist. But if we're going to focus in on a specific job in our business, let's call it for what it is. And then let's get the training and or the certifications for these people so that we can lift them and the business. It's about being more professional than ever.
Absolutely. And again, you kind of hit the nail on the head, and there's absolutely power in words. I think that people take for granted at times. And or I would love to come start. I've read the whole thing, and I think it's an amazing piece. And obviously, naturally, I've had my own questions that I would love to talk about here.
Yeah.
And the first question always for me was like, when, and you kind of hit on it here, but when did mechanic become this almost like derogatory word to describe the position, where like it almost seemed like the industry felt like they had to shift it and change it to technician? Like, because I feel like so much so, like you can just see mechanic as a word just disappear from
Oh,
the industry, and how they would call each other. And so
it's
like,
a
I mean,
great
do you
it's
feel
a
like
great
it started
question.
in Hollywood?
It's a great question. we, if you watch, if you just watch TV,
Hmm.
there's mechanic. It's not looked upon. Okay. So I'm a young person. I'm in a 2-year automotive college program. Against my parents' wishes, of course, they wanted me to become a doctor or a lawyer or accountant. But I love to work with my hands, and I go, and they're out with their friends, and they're saying, "Hey, so what's Johnny doing?" Well, he's going to the community college for automotive technology. What's he going to be? A mechanic. Listen, 40, 50 years ago, respected. Think about aircraft mechanics. I mean, I'm telling you, you're certified and all that. You're God to work on an aircraft, right? And you're a mechanic. But today, I can't get too big on my soapbox right now. Is it why I just can't? Because if this wasn't a podcast, I would go off on a different tangent. He's going to be a mechanic, but Johnny comes out. He graduates, right, Kelsey, and he gets a job at Bob's top-notch automotive specialist service center. And he says, so yeah, so what are you going to do? So you got your mechanic job? No, Mama, I'm gonna be a mechanical specialist. What? Mechanical specialist? What's that? Well, look at here's my job description. There's all the things. There's this career path, all this training. They're going to get me ASE certifications and all this really cool stuff. I'm on a trek. I love working with my hands. I love cars. I love doing this stuff. In one day, they may take me up to the level. You know how many computers are in a car and all the code that works this? They may teach me and let me and give me an opportunity to be a technology specialist. What? And we don't have a whole lot of debt? How much money can you earn? Let's stop this insanity to say 30 or 40,000 when we know differently. The bigger the city, the more money you're going to make, better the talent you have, the more certifications that you have. We know how much some of these really top-notch people are making. They're
Hmm.
doing so well. But the shop has to do really, really well in order to pay really,
Yep.
really, really well. And that gets into so much of what we do on the podcast to teach this level of leadership and finance and coaching and culture. So that's where I think it went. It went into being lazy about calling people mechanics and or the word technician. It was perfect 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
everybody has it.
Absolutely. I think it just, so honestly, I think mechanic is still like, it is a powerful word to describe what is done, but just the societal norms of how it's seen makes it so that, oh, we do really have to see it differently and like, yes, change the naming convention of it. And that's where like then the naming convention became A tech, B tech, C tech. And for me, right away when I learned this, I was like, well, who in their right mind would want to be labeled a C tech? And we know that through grade C is an average, and like there isn't any pride in calling yourself a C tech, let alone
Yeah.
even a B tech. You're like, and that's still like a very like they have to go through a lot of training to even get to that point of being labeled that way. And the label in and of itself is like you're a B. Like you're not quite there yet. And like that's
Okay.
where I was like, wait, why did that
And
become a
so,
B?
yeah, and let's just do a little confession. So I'm a B Tech at Kelsey Shop. And all of a sudden I see an ad for an A Tech for Kelsey Shop. And I'm wondering why that job isn't mine. I think I'm a B. The owner keeps telling me, listen, you're a B, you're doing really well, but I got to hire an A. I got to go out and hire an A. why wasn't there a career path to show me why I can or couldn't become an A? Who was mentoring me? What classes was I going to? Where is this thing that I can't be an A or I'm not an A? And if you're going to go out and bring on an A, the next time we need another A or we need to expand, where's my opportunity? So I think what we have to stop and think about is when you're going out and you're advertising for people why didn't I get that job? We have to stop and think of the words career pathing inside of our business. And it doesn't matter how big or small we are. Now, if I'm a young person and I've only been in the industry 2 or 3 or 4 years and I'm looking for a 20-year veteran, that describes in my mind what they may want to call an A. In my words, it's a technology specialist. You got to have a bunch of certifications. You got to be a master. You've got to have this many hours of training. And we've got to have the right equipment to fix these vehicles. And we have to do our own personal case studies. We have to record the things that we're doing so that we can be better and efficient every time we see this similar kind of problem. And we hear this stuff going on all the time on our podcast episodes. So I think we have to stop. And again, I said the word lazy. So let's stop being lazy. Let's start being more determined. Let's put real meanings behind what we're calling each other and the jobs that we do.
Absolutely. I mean, it, in this day, I mean, obviously everyone they mentioned though, like I'm having trouble hiring people, and just like obviously people getting into the trades is just dimming down because I mean they can have jobs where they stay at home and work, and it's not as grinding and tough and things like that. But I mean, one thing that probably like, do I want to start off as a C tech or like again, I guess the terminology of it just doesn't sound appealing either. And so like, yeah, absolutely creating a path that sounds more appealing where they get into it and like there's a better understanding behind, yeah, like also the compensation that's attached to it. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, money talks. And so that's also a misunderstanding in terms of like, oh, a mechanic probably doesn't make that much money. And like, but again, there has to just be a better understanding of like, this is what the path looks like when someone starts here and goes to here, and these are the phases. And I think that's something that you're doing a really good job of right now through this article of like helping people understand like there is a path that can be properly taken and proper labeling behind that path that right now I think like just a lot of individuals may not have an easy time seeing that. They just see like, oh, I want to be a C tech, then a B tech, then an A tech, and like do I want to go through this letter progression or whatever it may be? And it's just yeah,
I've been just asked to consult on a project that someone's working on that has everything to do with what I wrote.
mm,
And it has to do with levels within each different genre, if you will. So if you have a technology specialist, there's an individual that is saying that there's level one, two, and three, not an A, B, and a C, but a level one, two, and three. And I've got this document, I'm reading it. It's very comprehensive. And it's basically outlining what those levels are. Because if I have a real great mechanical specialist who's working for me, but the career path is I love scopes, I love analysis, I love electricity, I love brakes, but I'm really loving this. Well, you've got a candidate in the future. How do we determine going to that, if you will, high level technology specialist? Listen, you put on some more bays. Now you got two top guys. The work you can take on is unbelievable, but you cannot sit back and just wait for things to happen. You have to make things happen. So this individual that I know so well that gave me this chance to, hey, Carm, look this over. This has everything to do with this language shift, but we're trying to now put definitions behind what the career path opportunities are. So, I mean, I couldn't be more honored to have people say, hey, we're all on board. Let's see what we can continue to develop this and to move it forward.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you just look at like you dabbled on it a little bit about it's like software engineers. Like I mean, they're called like computer scientists, or I don't even know what they obviously they had a bunch of different names, but I think they've definitely settled into software engineer. I mean, you see that as a job label, and like now they'll have like levels of one, two, and three, and then when they get past that levels, then they get to attach the senior in front of the name, and then when they get through that cadence, and then they can attach the word staff in front of the name, and so like obviously there's a natural progression there that you are able to clearly see before you even start the career.
Yeah.
And that's promising in terms of like look at like yeah, there's progression, there's levels there, and obviously, I mean, there's natural compensation that's attached to that demand that again, I think yeah, the our industry can definitely learn from in terms of that natural progression to take place.
And
And
who says in another 8 or 10 years, I'm going to come to you, Kelsey, and say, I rewrote it. Now they're auto service engineers.
yeah,
Who says
yeah,
that?
exactly.
Think about
It
it.
could absolutely
Because
be that
what's
word.
this vehicle going to look like in 10 years? And how's it going to perform? Maybe will full autonomy will we be closer to it? And if that's the case, then the brainiacs we need to figure this out, to make things right. It's going to, again, I think you write your own ticket as to what you can earn.
Yeah, but I think what also makes it so interesting with this industry is this, it's like the well-roundedness needed of a mechanical specialist. The well-roundedness need of a technology specialist is they do so many different things. And so now that natural naming convention though can just like hop into other industries. So for example, like a mechanical engineer, like that's a real career that is
Yeah,
clearly labeled in right now. But that could also like I could easily see that applied to a technician right now. If we were to name a technician a mechanical engineer, I could easily be like, yeah, absolutely. That like that is what makes sense of what they do. But naturally, but the everyday man would not see it that way. They'd be like, oh no, they're going to be someone that's at maybe this big plant that's like working on these things, and like they wouldn't quite see it as like almost seeing it as small of like, oh no, it's not just like working on a car. And
right.
so how do we then so like with your naming convention, that's where for me as I was reading through them, I was like, I think this is perfect in terms of definitely like creating more demand for it, but almost now if we were to list it as a job, like if we were going to go on Indeed and like I'm looking for a mechanical specialist, would we be able to get the right candidates to even apply, or
Yeah.
would people be confused?
And I have no problem from an exterior perspective that a garage, a repair shop should be called auto service specialists. I get that. But internally, we can be mechanical and technology specialists, but on the outside, we can be called auto service mechanical specialists, auto service technology specialists on the outside.
Yeah.
But remember, you're face to face with a client, and they're here. We don't say automotive service Mercedes specialist. We say Mercedes specialist because you're in a place of God who fixes cars, right?
Yeah.
And we can say our technology specialists. We don't have, but on the outside looking in, I can see that if we were doing a Facebook ad, we would say, please stop in. Our auto service technology specialists are here to help you with all the really tough issues that can happen to your electrical system in your vehicle.
Absolutely. I think that's perfect in terms of being able to properly describe it. Because yeah, the one thing that we definitely don't want to do for shop or for not shop owners, for CEOs of these shops is we create a bunch of wasted applications. Because already, I mean, they already deal with it, even with a clear label in and of itself. But at least to me, it's like it's clearly defined. Someone should just read the description and see exactly what they're wanting. But obviously, a lot of people don't. They just see the title of the position. Oh, yeah, I think I'm good enough to do that, and they'll just apply, and they have
Yeah.
nothing to do with the automotive industry at all. And so that would be kind of like the only concerning. Where I can definitely see technology specialists, people getting lazy, applying for something that has nothing to do with what they believe they're fit in criteria for. So, but obviously, it's a road that we need to
A,
get.
a, a critical part of our latest version of this document is something that hit me a while back. A coach spoke to a couple of clients of theirs. They fell in love with it. People are passing this declaration around, and I'm getting a lot of feedback. I got a call from my mother-daughter team and says, we love this. We're going to implement it. I says, great. How are you going to implement it? I don't know. So I started to have a brainstorm. And what hit me is that my declaration was missing the implementation process or page. So
Oh,
it's in here and it explains. I'm not sure if the version you have has it,
it doesn't.
but you give this it's a 7-step process as to how to get this implemented. I mean, it just doesn't happen like that. You
Absolutely.
gotta you gotta give it to your team. You have to talk about it. You have to pick the date that this is going to happen. And then one of the things that hit me really hard, Kelsey, and every time I talk to people about this, they say, Carm, it's a brilliant idea. And I say, if we're going to really make this stick and make this part of our culture, make this part of who we are and elevate ourselves and the industry, we need to have a swear jar.
Mm.
And so my idea was when we hear you saying the wrong name of the role, the title, the job that you have, you got to put a buck in the swear jar, right? And decide to give it to charity at the end of, whatever it is, a year or 6 months that you have allocated to make this shift happen, or throw yourselves a big party on the people that didn't get it. And every time I mention this, they think it's a brilliant idea because it really is the last piece that shows the commitment of this language shift that we all want to have. And I this is the story that's going to sum up this episode for you, okay? So I give my keynote, and there's 120 people in the room, and they're all shop owners. And that night, just to loosen things up, we go to a brewery, and we're at a brewery, and we're in this little room off to the side, and we're having all these cool little finger foods. And an individual walks in to get us a drink, and on their shirt, it says beer technician. Everybody looks at them and says, specialist. If you think about how this group of CEOs, shop owners, CEOs, saw the fact that the word technician is just everybody's a technician. Here comes a beer technician.
Mm-hmm.
He's really a specialist, but they don't want. Let's create the word specialist today, like we did and bought into it 10 years ago. And let's go with specialist because that's what that person really is. I don't believe they're the master mixed craft brewer. I'm a technician. They're, yeah, what would you like? How many hops? What's your flavors? They probably a specialist in beer, not a technician in beer. And we're a specialist in what we do to keep your vehicle safe and reliable. The trust, know, like, and trust us. And so when everyone bought into the fact that that was the wrong term, I realized I resonated with the group. They they bought in like bam.
I
So
love
I guess that's a great way to sum up the fact that people love it. All we have to do is to get them to implement.
it. Yep. And yep, I think we're at the point where absolutely the knowledge base is there. There needs to be buy-in just on that point, and then the implementation absolutely is going to be another difficult part. But once we start, I mean, I think that's the part where we just they can't be that give up
Yeah.
factor of like it's not sticking. Only my shop is doing it, and so no one else is doing it. I'm not really going to do it anymore. There has to be just obviously universal buy-in, and the more so that people see that buy-in, that they want to be like the other ones that they start seeing, like, especially the shops that are seeing success. Those are kind of where it needs to start because I mean, obviously other owners are looking up to those shops and like, oh, well, what are they doing different? Oh, they're calling their team members these certain things, and they're like you can see the culture. There's excitement behind that, and so I think that's where definitely it all starts. And so I appreciate you doing
This
it.
this makes you a unicorn. It puts you out in front. Don't say just because no one else is that I won't. People are reading this saying, I love this. Okay, when you can implement it? Oh, I got to work on that. I says, no, get it to your people. Get it to your people and let them buy in. Why should you do all the heavy lifting? Well, it's just words, Carm. It's just words. No, it's not.
Yeah,
When
there's
I'm
there.
when I'm in the ground one day, they're going to say he was onto something.
They definitely should be listening to you. So, but Carm, thank you so much for your time today and sharing this important piece that I think people definitely maybe didn't realize that it isn't even an important thing to talk about, but
Yeah.
hopefully we just shed some light on it. That hey, like there can definitely be a shift done here, and the shift can absolutely be for good. And maybe we can stop hearing about people complaining about there's not enough people, not enough technicians that go around to hire or anything like that. So like this is definitely there's room for change, obviously, and I think this is a positive one that can take place. But as a parting gift to individuals that are still listening, I always ask the guests to what is one very, let's say, influential book that you have read that you're like, you know what, I think every other CEO of shop should be reading this, and it has made a huge difference in your life?
So many. I mean, one of the big books that was a profound change for me about 4 years ago was Who Not How.
Mm.
And that was when I was really contemplating on hiring Tracy. And a good friend of mine, Barry Barrett, sent me the book. And the book convinced me that it wasn't now how I was going to get work done, but who I was going to help me do it. So, I mean, so many books. I mean, I've got bookshelves of books, but I go back to the number one book that changed me as a leader was John Maxwell's Developing the Leader Within You. And
Mm.
that's when I realized way back 26, 28 years ago that leadership was something that I didn't know enough about and that I had to up my game. And that was it. But so many great books out there. We have a books page on our website of all the books that we've ever talked about on the
Yep, and
show.
you guys talk about a lot of them. So yeah, there's
Yeah.
some great ones on there, and definitely check those out. Appreciate that information. And those that maybe you want to reach out to you, what would be the best ways to contact you?
Uh, Carm at remarkableresults.biz. Honored to be here. The downloads page will get you all the stuff we talked about if you want to download it and stay close to that. And I need my emails in these documents, easy to reach me. I do care about what your opinion is, uh, and and anything I can do, you can do to help me to make this better. I've made this a public thing. I don't have any copyright things on this at all. People want to take this and help me run with it. That's the only way it's going to happen. I cannot keep this close to the vest. This has to go out. I so appreciate you giving me this platform, Kelsey, to be on your podcast and just to hear what's on my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it as well. I appreciate that. Yeah, you got to be. I mean, more often than not, you're the interviewer, so I appreciate that. I got that.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I did the talking this time.
And then you're amazing at it as well. So, but again, thank you all for continuing to watch and listen. If you're still listening, thank you so much. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please go ahead and do so. But I'm Kelsey with Lift Auto Marketing. We'll talk to you guys again later. Bye.